4th of July through to the 11th of August. Here comes a dose for everyone.
Yes, it is!
For the athlete, it is chasing a dream of a lifetime. And for the fan, witness history in the making, live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
Who are the Gen Zs?
Ni rende ya 12 years paka around 26 years.
Okay.
So ani wase wenye sahi either ko high school, ako kampo, ama tundo wameanza job.
How did they come into existence? What is their thinking? What is their ideology?
Essence ya work from 8 to 5, yet tunaweza maliza hiyo job by 12. Ni gani? Unajua, so unajiuliza hiyo swali.
Okay. So you say you are not lazy.
No. Gen Zs are not lazy. That's the thing. And hapo ndo misconception big iko.
What are they looking forward to achieve?
If we are able to bring up platforms that are conversational, there's a lot that can change in every sector.
Okay.
Be it church, be it schools, be it corporate, be it government.
On KBC Channel 1, we are a TV station like no other. Get a taste of the best in entertainment.
Yes, indeed.
Feel the passion.
Will you promise me?
I swear that you will never lose me. I can't get married to you.
I'm sure you knew about it. That's why you're making fun of me.
Experience the drama.
Get out.
Who is the man in this one?
And the laughter.
Hii wigi umevakishwa. Sio wakati tulikuwa tunaapishwa tunapewa mheshimiwa.
Move to the beat.
We are live from Broadcasting House.
And get informed on the latest happenings. KBC Channel 1.
Wow. Yeah!
We are the full package.
Oh yes.
And Kenya's watching.
Thank you very much for joining us.
My name is Coach Bernard Ouma, one of the middle distance coaches for Paris 2024 and part of the National Olympic Committee performance team as a sports scientist and data analyst. We are asking Kenyans and all the track and field lovers to rally behind these teams, rally behind track and field and any other sports that is going to Paris. We need your support for these people to perform. The Gen Zs who are very good at social media. We want you to support the team, encourage them. If they lose, encourage them as well. That is the next time. If they win as well, positive vibes. Thank you.
Colgate Herbal is formulated from a unique blend of natural herbs and is scientifically proven to strengthen teeth and keep gums healthy. Try Colgate Herbal, scientifically proven for strong teeth and healthy gums.
Unajua, token mita yako inahitaji system update. Ni rahisi na ni free. Ukipata ujumbe kutoka Kenya Power, yani SMS, weka kodi ya kwanza kureset, alafu weke kodi ya pili kuupdate ili token mita yako iendelee kufanya kazi kama kawaida. Update token mita yako. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwako na Kenya Power and Lighting Company.
Good evening. This is Prime Edition.
Tonight, the country has a minister who holds 21 dockets. The Prime Cabinet Secretary has been assigned as the acting minister in charge of the other 21 dockets that remain vacant after President William Ruto gazetted the dismissal of his entire cabinet.
Talking about safety of journalists as they go about their mandate is put in question yet again.
We have details lined up for you, including our conversation with the Principal Secretary in charge of Culture, the Arts and Heritage, PS Umi Bashir, but that's a little bit later. For now, let's focus on the highlights.
Lakini wakati ambapo tunataka kuwafahamisha wananchi tunakuwa kwamba sisi sasa ndio walengwa, tumekuwa adui.
Early morning police abduction of veteran journalist Masharia Gaido Angus Media Fraternity. President Ruto gazettes the firing of his cabinet with a survey showing 67% of Kenyans are supporting his last week dissolution. And Mwangaza in the soup again. A third attempt at impeaching Meru Governor Kioria Mwangaza kicks off with the filing of a notice of ouster motion. Welcome to Prime Edition. My name is John Jacob Kioria.
And I am Regina Manyara.
To start us off, President William Ruto has gazetted the dismissal of his entire cabinet and assigned the Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, who is also the Cabinet Secretary of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs, to act in all the vacant ministerial positions.
In a Gazette notice dated 12th July, the head of state said the ministerial positions of 21 cabinet secretaries and the Attorney General are now officially vacant.
The president said the reorganization of his administration was necessary to set the operations of a government and the newly structured cabinet. His administration was necessary to set the operations of the government and the newly structured cabinet. He will be appointing soon and will assist him in accelerating the necessary radical programs to deal with the burden of debt, raising domestic resources, expanding job opportunities, eliminating wastage and unnecessary duplication of a multiplicity of government agencies.
The media fraternity has demanded action against the abduction of veteran journalist Manyara Gaido this morning at Karen police station.
Gaido, who was with his son during the ordeal, said that he drove to the Karen police station to seek refuge after an unmarked car with unknown individuals trailed him from his home.
Journalists staged a protest in Nakuru and Thika following the attack on Nakuru-based journalists attached to media ranks.
As Give Us on Mine and Our reports, the Independent Policing Oversight Authority, IPOA, has vowed to investigate the matter and bring the culprits to book.
Wednesday morning at the Karen police station in Nairobi, veteran journalist Manyara Gaido is seen in a viral video being bundled into a car by men said to be detectives from the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, DCI, and driven off. He was later released with police saying he was taken for Francis Gaido, a social media influencer police said is of interest.
It's the time they asked for my ID and I gave it to them. They looked at it, they said, "You're the Francis Manyara Gaido?" I said, "Yes." Then they told me it was a case of mistaken identity and that I am free to go.
As he told off the police, Gaido narrated how an unmarked car was trailing him alongside his son right from his home in Karen and even attempted to block them on the road before they sped off to the station for safety, only to be followed and abducted at the station.
We drove away, they followed us, and we decided to come to Karen police station because we recognize that this is an abduction.
The Kenya Editors Guild and the Kenya Union of Journalists have since demanded the arrest and prosecution of the said police officers, failure to which the media will hold demos on Wednesday next week.
Marsh amekuja katika kituo cha polisi ambapo anajihisi kwamba ni salama. Lakini kufikia wakati ambapo analengwa akiwa katika kituo cha polisi ni jambo la kusikitisha sana na ni jambo ambalo tunalikemea pakubwa sana.
The Independent Policing Oversight Authority, IPOA, has promised to conduct their investigations over the matter.
Very thorough and quick investigations will be carried out, not just for this case of Manyara Gaido. We already have one file with DPP. Among others, at least a journalist's file, the one who was shot at using a tear gas canister.
These as journalists in Nakuru County staged demos following the shooting of a journalist attached to MediaMax during Tuesday's protests.
It is important that the officer in question be held accountable for his action to ensure justice for Ms. Wanjeri and to set a precedent that such conduct by law enforcement officers will not be tolerated.
Similar protests were also held in Thika, Kiambu County.
It is worth noting that Ms. Wanjeri was donning the Media Council of Kenya press jacket, which is clearly visible when she was shot twice in the thigh.
The Independent Policing Oversight Authority, IPOA, has assured members of the public that police officers who killed or injured innocent civilians during the protests will be dealt with in accordance with the law. Give Us in Mind, Prime Edition, Nairobi.
Now we shift focus to the aftermath of the demonstrations yesterday, and traders say they are counting losses as calm slowly returns to the country after Tuesday's protests.
Several shops and supermarkets were broken into by suspected criminals who looted property estimated to amount to millions of shillings.
Following the demos, the clergy in the coast region have called for an end to the protests to allow the president to work on the demands of the youth.
The agony resulting from massive looting and destruction of property occasioned by Tuesday's protests is visible in Joseph Ndegua's face. Ndegua runs a restaurant in Nyahururu town and is among traders who recounted how looters descended on their businesses, damaging equipment, including a fridge worth 600,000 shillings.
Jana we experienced tulienda hasara kubwa sana. Juu vijana walituvamia, wakakula nyama, wakatuvujia maduka, na sasa tunasikia ni kama hiyo maandamano ni kama sasa ni kama tunairani sasa.
Their counterparts in Embu County, led by Chairman Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industries Mugo Mati, condemned the violent protests while calling on the police to bring the culprits to book.
Tunataka tuulize hawa vijana, mmesema hamuna kazi. Wakati unaharibu biashara ambayo imeajiri vijana 15, wewe unataka wenzako wapate kazi ama unataka wafutwe kazi? Ni kusema wewe ndio umelazimisha kuwafuta. So we are saying we support the peaceful demonstrations and we ask the government to act accordingly.
Tunatafuta amani Kitengela. Tunataka amani Kitengela.
In Kajiado County, dejected investors have vowed to protect their properties against looters. Similar sentiments have been echoed by business owners in Homa Bay County, which also witnessed violent protests.
Wakati wajenzi wameingia kwa barabara, biashara pia tunafunga.
Meanwhile, a 23-year-old lady is seeking justice after she was allegedly raped by 9 goons during demos in Kakamega.
Sasa nilikuwa kwa gate, nilikuwa na ndani na nilikuwa nimefunga, walikuwa wamefunga gate na kuweka kufuli. Nikashtukia tu wenye wamefungua gate na wakaingia wote. Walikuwa watu 9.
In Machakos County, boda operators staged demonstrations in Mulolongo demanding that police arrest suspected criminals who attacked several riders and torched their bikes during the protest on Tuesday.
Hao vijana wanafaa wajue. Tunawajua, tunajua kwao, tunajua kazi yenye wanafanya, tunajua penye wako. Si ukweli? Na pia sisi huwa tunawabeba. Si namna hiyo.
Meanwhile, clerics in Mombasa called for an end to the protest to allow for dialogue. The clergy asked police to exercise restraint in dealing with protesters to avert more deaths.
Mmefanya kazi nzuri, maana ni haki yenu kuandamana na kudai haki zenu. Ila mahali imefikia, tuna hisia ya kwamba kuna watu wengine ambao wamejiingiza katika hayo maandamano ambao sasa ila agenda iliyokuwa vijana sio hiyo.
Joseph Wahungu for Prime Edition.
A quick recovery to those who were hurt during the protests. Now, 1,210 intern doctors are set to be posted and to commence their internship by the 1st of August this year.
This is after the signing of an addendum between the Ministry of Health and the Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union, KMPD.
The ministry was represented by Public Health and Professional Standards Principal Secretary Mary Muthoni, while the Union Secretary General Dr. Davji Atela represented KMPDU.
In the press statement, the ministry confirmed the signing of a return-to-work agreement between itself and the Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union, dated May 8, 2024. The signing now confirms the posting of 1,210 intern doctors, allowing them to commence their internships by August 1st this year. The ministry has also revoked the internship offer letters issued on March 18, 2024, adding that the terms of engagement for those intern doctors will follow the conditions set out in their internship placement letters. On the issue of remuneration, the matter has been referred to Eldoret Employment and Labour Relations Court Petition E003 of 2024 and other related cases. All arrears earned before the court's decision will be paid in full within 90 days of the ruling. The ministry and KMPDU are further acknowledging the ongoing court matters related to this issue in the Employment and Labour Relations Court in Eldoret and Nairobi. The two parties have also recognized the establishment of the Presidential Task Force on Addressing Human Resources for Health on July 5, 2024, which includes KMPDU members to address issues related to the Human Resources for Health internship and provide recommendations. The ministry is expressing its gratitude to KMPDU for its steadfast commitment and constructive engagement throughout this process. Yusuf Far reporting for Prime Edition.
Well, some interesting news here from Regina Manyara's county. A notice of motion to impeach Meru Governor Kioria Mwangaza has been tabled at the Meru County Assembly.
Now, the motion tabled by Zipporah Kinya, a nominated member of the Assembly, is accusing the governor of misappropriation of county public funds and misuse of public office.
This is the third year in a row that the Governor Mwangaza has faced impeachment since assuming office in 2023.
A showdown is looming yet again in Meru County after a motion to impeach Governor Kioria Mwangaza was tabled at the County Assembly for a third time. The governor is facing 2 counts, including misuse of public office and misappropriation of public funds.
Irregular payment of emergency call allowances to 161 doctors and medical officers using the wrong rates, leading to excessive payment of 74,340,000, contrary to sections 45(2) and 46 of the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act, section 11 and 15 of the Public Officers Ethics Act, and section 12 of the Leadership and Integrity Act.
But the motion has divided the assembly across the middle, with some members claiming witch hunt.
Hii mswada imekuja juu ya kura ya 2027. Kuna watu bando hawajakubali governor ni mama, na kuna watu bando wanataka governor atoke na through impeachment ndiye asiweze kusimama kiti 2027.
Leo tarajio la Meru na letu ni kwamba tungeweza kuletewa appropriation bill kwenye assembly, tuweze kuipiga msasa ndio wananchi wa Meru waendelee kutendewa kazi. Lakini maandui wa maendeleo leo wameona ni siku kubwa sana wailete mswada ambayo tunasema ni siasa ya mwaka wa 2027 inayopigwa.
For the last 6 months tumefanya homework kama members of county assembly, na pia niseme hongera kwa mover wa motion kwa sababu the kind of evidence ameleta saizi is what we call overwhelming evidence.
The motion comes a day after 9 petitioners wrote to President William Ruto seeking the suspension of the Meru County government. The petitioners argue that service delivery has been affected owing to irreconcilable differences between the county assembly and the county executive. Kioria Mwangaza is not new to impeachment attempts, having survived 2 times after being served by the Senate in 2022 and 2023.
Sisi kama wananchi na kama wakazi wa hapa Meru tunasupport hiyo maneno, na tunasema ya kwamba kumekuwa sana na misappropriation of resources zetu, hatujakuwa tukipata development.
Kioria Mwangaza chenye analeta kwetu ni development zenye ni za hapo leo na kesho mnamalizana. Mfano kama kuenda kununulia watu vitu kama mtu moja kwa au want ng'ombe moja, hiyo haisaidii.
Nesio Kware, Prime Edition.
I wrongfully said that she assumed office in 2023. Indeed, she assumed office in 2022. And this is the 4th time there's an impeachment attempt against the governor for Meru, Kioria Mwangaza. We are taking a breather. When we come back, we've got news lined up for you, including that interview with the PS for Culture, the Arts and Heritage, Umi Bashir.
Dina Gwawe.
Unajua, token mita yako inahitaji system update. Ni rahisi na ni free. Ukipata ujumbe kutoka Kenya Power, yani SMS, weka kodi ya kwanza kureset, alafu weke kodi ya pili kuupdate ili token mita yako iendelee kufanya kazi kama kawaida. Update token mita yako. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwako na Kenya Power and Lighting Company.
How are you?
I'm good.
Na hiyo attitude inatoka wapi msichana wa watu?
Whatever you're doing won't work.
Looking for this? I know you're planning to destroy me. Can I leave now? Come. Don't be scared. I'm not here to harm you.
Where? Just focus on spending your last days with your family. So,
why?
Because you're going to miss that.
Welcome back. You're watching the Prime Edition. And now, rowdy youths disrupted a press conference called by the Azimio One Kenya Coalition on Wednesday, sending everyone, including journalists, scampering for safety.
The goons attacked members of the Fourth Estate who had been invited to cover the announcement by the coalition on its next course of action following the confusion that has attempted to derail the proposed national dialogue.
In what appears to be rifts in the Azimio Coalition after Wiper Party, DAPK, Jubilee and NAK Kenya differed with Raila Odinga's Orange Democratic Movement, ODM, over whether to heed calls by the government to sit and discuss the way out of the current affairs.
Check, is it okay? Can you hear? Which way, Azimio? Camera people? All is not well in the Raila Odinga-led coalition, at least by the scenes witnessed at the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Foundation on Wednesday. The day began with all affiliate parties holding their NEC meetings in their respective backyards.
The position we have taken as DAP is that we will not be party to the dialogue or to the broad-based government. If our colleagues in Azimio choose to join, we will not be party to it. That will be their position. And we believe every Azimio coalition party is today holding their neck to make individual decisions.
In the end, Wiper Party, DAPK, Jubilee and NAK Kenya appeared to have read from a different script in response to overtures by the government in the wake of violent protests.
The joint meeting of the parliamentary group of Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition Party was held today, Wednesday, the 17th of July 2024. The coalition expresses its sympathy and condolences to those who lost their loved ones and the hundreds who were maimed, injured, and who had their properties destroyed.
Kalonzo Musyoka and his colleagues were hustled out at the very tent that Raila Odinga had addressed ODM's governing council hours earlier.
During the demonstrations.
Journalists too were caught up in the ensuing mayhem, with goons attacking the press who had been invited to cover the opposition's announcement on its next course of action.
Hey, Voleban. Hey, Voleban. Na kiti.
Attempts by the Ugunja Member of Parliament Opiyo Wandayi to cool down tempers appeared futile. Sources within the coalition said ODM had agreed to take up positions in government. ODM released a statement indicating that it will conditionally dialogue with the government. The declaration by ODM, however, appears to contradict a declaration by Raila Odinga over the weekend in Mukuru slums.
No dialogue! No dialogue! Tunataka action. Taka nini?
Well, those pictures there among the injured is our very own Abdiaziz Hashim, and we wish him a quick recovery.
Absolutely.
Indeed.
To some other sad news, Justice David Majanja has been cremated after a funeral service held at the Friends International Center Church in Nairobi Wednesday.
Majanja's remains were interred by his wishes, and at the service that the late justice was eulogized as a great, gentle giant whose illustrious career had been cut short.
Wednesday, family, friends, judicial officers and staff conglomerated at Friends Church Ngong Road to eulogize the man whom they described as one who had a deep understanding of the law.
For my son, he is from here to the grave, whatever that grave will be. It is therefore the reason why we have brought that which you do whenever The person lives here, goes maybe to Muranga, to Kakamega, and so you excuses.
Asanteni sana. Kusema ukweli mumetushika mkono, tunashukuru. Nikali enyewe nikali.
The head of public service, Felix Koskei, urged public servants to borrow a leaf from the late in matters of professionalism.
Together, we worked very well, and he was always a man who was bringing all of us together whenever there are issues that we have divergent minds.
The president of the Supreme Court, Martha Koome, stated she was amazed by Majanja's consistency in delivering judgments on time and has left a legacy among the judges with the highest number of judgments delivered in the judiciary.
Emulating his example, all we can do is all of us become the defenders of the law and the providers of our own communities. He has left us at a difficult time as a nation when we are mourning also our children who have died in the quest of expressing their rights as founded in the Constitution.
Judges and magistrates remembered him as a defender of the law, impacted and guided them in their profession.
A CAP where he was the founder and the patron. So we are going to miss you, our patron. Your unwavering support, dedication and love for football will forever be remembered. You are more than a patron, you are a pillar of strength, a source of wisdom and true fun in every sense of the word.
He was, as a bright mind as he was not selfish with his knowledge. Not only did he mentor the young judges, but those of us always will seek advice from him, will consult, and will, when we have difficult matters before us.
He had a great sense of urgency. In retrospect, maybe he knew time was short, but we are grateful for his life.
Majanja had been unopposedly re-elected to represent the Kenya Magistrate and Judges Association, KMJA, at JSC on 28th May this year. A private interment ceremony was held by the family after the service, with a memorial service set to be held in Shinyalu constituency, Kakamega County, on Saturday, July 20th, 2024. With this mantra, law is my life, justice is my blood, the late Majanja has left an indelible mark in the legal fraternity. Ruth Wamboi reporting for Prime Edition from Friend International Church.
And it's yet another very sad day for the judiciary fraternity. Today we have lost Judge Ogembo, who is in charge of the Siaya High Court, and of course we continue to extend our condolences to the judiciary family.
Now we cross over to the theatre. In a landscape scarred by terror and betrayal, Shalom, a soldier consumed by hatred for terrorists, becomes trapped in a cruel twist of fate.
His girlfriend, a survivor of the 1998 Nairobi bomb blast, bears enduring physical and emotional scars from that tragic day.
Now, their dreams of parenthood are shattered, her womb irreparably damaged by the blast, foreclosing their future together.
This is the storyline of a screenplay, Guns and Roses, with Jacqueline Masharia reviews for tonight's cinemas and theatre.
Haunted by his personal vendetta and driven by love, Shalom is lured to the treacherous battlefield of El Ade in Somalia. Unbeknown to him, the general who commands him is a double agent, secretly working for the terror group Al-Shabaab.
Keep having this dream.
This treacherous leader, consumed by his own forbidden desire, covets Shalom's girlfriend and orchestrates the mission as a death sentence for Shalom and his men.
Guns and Roses is a story that is inspired by what happened in 2016 in El Adegedo, Somalia, right? We are all well aware that soldiers went there, rather they were sent there on a peacekeeping mission. However, something happened and soldiers ended up, dying after an attack by Al-Shabaab militia came about within that very same area, and hundreds of them died. There was a lot of mystery behind it, a lot of tears as well, so I felt it was a very, very good story that needs to be, retold again, probably from a different angle to a different audience, but told nevertheless.
These terrorists in the eye and watch them all die for the pain they caused us. Shalom.
Marvin Kibicha, the play director, says the characters in the play have outdone themselves, bringing the story to life. But how was members of the cast as they prepared for the play?
The rehearsal process has been good. A lot of information has also come to the fore. We are beginning to tell this story from a point of, a soldier's perspective.
First of all, I wasn't casted for this role. It was given to another lady, but just things didn't go on well. So the director, Marvin Kibicho, called me and he told me that, yeah, this and this happened. Will you be available to play this role? And I was like, okay, fine. And I was given the script. I started a bit later. Thank God. Due to my experience in acting, I was able to grasp the play.
Who told you about the mission to Somalia?
As Shalom marches into the deadly ambush, he carries the weight of his dreams and the love that binds him. The battle is a brutal clash, not only of arms, but of the deepest human emotions. In the end, Shalom's fate is sealed by betrayal, leaving his girlfriend to mourn a love torn apart by war and deceit.
People should come and watch this play because it is a very, very pertinent story with regard to what is happening within our country right now. A lot of people are questioning leaders, they are questioning decisions, and that is also what we are doing even through this play in retrospect. We are also questioning some of the decisions that were made during that time with regard to El Ade and Somalia and Gedo and all the events that happened, right? And we're also challenging and looking into the consequences that come about when certain decisions are made. We're going to be at the National Theatre, Ukumbi Mdogo, from the 27th to the 28th, 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. on both days. Come and experience theatre in all its glory.
Jacqueline Masharia for Cinemas and Theatre.
And institutions of higher learning have been challenged to embrace innovation, research, and artificial intelligence to equip graduates with relevant skills in the current evolving job market.
KCA University Chancellor Professor Olive Muganda says the world is gradually shifting to artificial intelligence and Kenyans cannot afford to be left behind when other education systems increasingly investing more in science, technology and mathematics.
Muganda spoke on Wednesday during the 16th graduation ceremony of the KCA University.
It can improve the way we do things. It can improve the efficiency, the effectiveness, and you can reach more people, and even precision, so that is why we need to be. I think it's important for higher education. That's why I actually said maybe we need to have a center, so we can have a think tank which can start saying, okay, where do you use these very progressive computer systems to help our decision making and our and other activities.
The science, technology, engineering and mathematics, popularly known as STEM, where a lot of effort and resources are being channeled, and it is right from the preschool to primary, secondary. We have to be aligned that way.
Now, Public Service Commission interns cutting across different professions have kicked off their countrywide demonstrations after being denied jobs at the end of their internship.
The trained interns from cohort 1 to cohort 6 of the government's internship program say that none of them has been offered any job, despite the commission having different entry job openings.
This and more stories making headlines in our county news roundup.
Government is being urged to listen to the concerns of public service interns and heed their demands.
And still remains that interns must be confirmed. It is their right. They have worked for the government for over 1 year. And it is due to this that we are asking the government to employ these interns on permanent and pensionable basis.
Meanwhile, Mining Principal Secretary Elijah Mwangi says the government has launched the survey and mapping of all abandoned quarries across the country following the increased cases of deaths and bodies dumped in deserted quarries.
Our regional mines officers are the instructions to assess them so that we can identify those quarries that require to be fenced. What form of fencing are we going to do as part of rehabilitation?
Elsewhere, newly appointed Prisons Commissioner General Patrick Mwiti Arandu says he will prioritize the modernization of the Prisons Department as he banks on a complete shift that will also equip inmates with the necessary skills once rehabilitated.
I realized that in the past, some of the institutions didn't have facilities for schools, hospitals, and even training, vocational training like industries. So the modern facilities that we want to come up with will have these components so that we ensure by the time an inmate leaves prison, for sure they are well trained.
In Nyandarua County, Kenya Forest Service has announced a ban on farmers cultivating in parts of the Aberdare forest.
Kupanda chakula, maaskari sasa wakaanza kukuja, kuharibu fence na kutupea notisi ya siku 14. Shida letu ni miti hata yenye tumepanda haijatoka chini. Sasa tulikuwa tunaomba serikali itusaidie. Angalau watupe muda, angalau hata kama ni miezi 6 ili hizi chakula zetu tafadhali tuzitoke. Zikitoka sisi tutawaondokea.
Finally, Utalii College has joined hands with several 5-star hotels for the National Tourism Competition to promote Kenya as a preferred destination.
And I'm here to observe and also help the college in making sure that we are maintaining the standards in the industry out there. The competition helps even the competitors to learn from each other and also to see that they are also gaining and they're also networking with their colleagues, and the hotels be able to look at what is happening, compare with what you've been taught, being alumni of the college, and make sure that the standards are maintained.
For Prime Edition, I'm Christine Matunda.
Kwa star 570 hash tunakupa nafasi ya kuchomoka na this brand new Mazda Demio.
Enjoy a beautiful clean semi-leather interior, low mileage, touchscreen and a reverse cam, fuel efficient 1300cc engine, great for personal use and business.
Ukitaka kujishindia gari hili, kucheza ni rahisi sana. Chukua simu yako, bonyeza star 570 hash, chagua option number 4, kisha unajiunga na draw. Kumbuka kucheza mara kadhaa because the more you play, the higher chances of wewe kuwa mshindi.
Gari ya pili ni yako. Ni yako.
Hii Julai, jishindie Demio na Loto Moto. Tucheze, tusaidie na tushinde.
Wale mnapiga watu picha mnaenda kuwapeleka huko kwa mitandao bila kujua. Hapana, tunanga upaya sisi. Mimi unipigi picha bwana.
You go and track that guy to don't bring me here to the court.
Wewe ndo atatuonyesha hiyo mtu sababu wewe anasema wewe kuiba.
Simujui.
Nikitoka hapa naenda Karen.
Sasa unaishi Karen.
Hata Karen ni kwangu.
Tuendelee na
sawa. Juzi alitoka State House. Nasema tu ipathi sile alikuwa na.
Wewe ndio yeye.
Muoneshe mpaka ile nilikuwa na mzungu, mimi
wewe si unyamaze.
Nilikataa huyo.
Kaa kimya.
Sijui kama nilinunua simu ya wizi mheshimiwa. I don't care. Ni hiyo tu mheshimiwa.
A very good evening to you. Thank you for watching Prime Edition, Time for Business News. My name is Betty Kiptum. Now, civil society groups have called for an urgent audit of all loans advanced by the International Monetary Fund to ascertain their effectiveness. The Institute for Social Accountability says Kenya's loan from the Washington lender has jumped from 50 billion shillings to 421 billion shillings in 5 years, raising concerns over Kenya's indebtedness to the IMF.
The African Continental Free Trade Area. We have got market access. It's been negotiated. So thanks to all our people who negotiated it, we have that access, which means in Africa, 35 countries in Africa, we can export to all of them and do it duty-free. That is huge potential. So demand side is not a problem. We're really in a good position today because our agreements, our access to markets, forget AFCFTA in Africa. We've got market access to AGOA, African Growth Opportunity Act, which is the whole American market. You can export anything from here, duty-free, tax-free, into USA. Did you know that? You can. Everything duty-free and tax-free. And India or other places have a 30-40% tax rate. We've got it duty-free. Are we still taking advantage of that?
Now, if you are a developer or a construction industry practitioner, then you have only 1 year to conform to the newly launched Building Code 2024. Public Works Principal Secretary Joel Arumonyang says the government, through the National Construction Authority, has increased capacity to evaluate implementation of the new guidelines, which now include new provisions such as piping networks for supply of LPG gas, fiber connectivity and use of sustainable green building materials in new buildings.
Since 1968, Kenya has been using outdated building codes, flouting of zoning rules and overdevelopment, as well as poor workmanship, rogue contractors, use of substandard material, poor maintenance, among others, have led to rampant cases of buildings collapsing.
Fire, collapse and other sources of injury and even death traceable to imperfect construction occur frequently enough to remind us that trouble can occur even when regulations are in effect.
And now, building codes have come at a time when innovation and technology is taking center stage in the construction industry globally, with Kenya also looking to angle itself through a multi-sectoral approach as the implementation begins.
The operation of the 1968 code, and we also close a chapter of influence from our colonialist past. This code sets our own local standards.
Some of the envisaged benefits of the National Building Code 2024 consists of orderly and coordinated development, appreciation of appropriate building materials and technologies, professional maintenance of our building stock,
an element of digital connectivity, which in the old code was not there for your information. You know, in 1968, there were no even mobile phones. There could have been telephones, but there were no mobile phones. There was no data. But today, that is what drives our economy.
Speaking during the launch of the new National Building Codes 2024, the Affordable Housing Program was cited as the best launchpad to demonstrate the impact of these changes.
Once the project is complete, it will be very easy for the IPRA or the gas companies to come and implement that project without an extra cost to the tenants.
Mobile units have been dispatched to test the quality of construction. The repeal of the previous Physical Planning Act is also seen as an initial step in harmonizing regulations between the county and national governments to ensure a nationwide approach in conformity. Alanauko, Prime Edition.
Independent power producers and the government are close to agreeing on a power pricing matrix that will see Kenya Power purchase electricity partly in Kenyan shillings. Geothermal Association of Kenya Chair Gathuru Mburu says power producers in the geothermal sector are proposing a mix of shillings and dollars in billing to address forex fluctuations, which have been blamed for the high cost of electricity in Kenya.
Kenya Power revealed that it was forced to pay off some independent power producers with Kenyan shillings early this year due to the dollar scarcity. Independent power producers now say they are in talks with the government to start billing Kenya Power in both shillings and dollars.
Concerted effort being discussed at this Congress to see whether we can begin to split those power purchase agreements into a portion in local currency and a portion in foreign currency.
The pricing matrix will see a hybrid of dollar-shilling agreements on a 50-50 basis in a bid to lower the cost of electricity in Kenya.
Why don't we have these contracts in local currency? The main reason is that power projects are long-term and they are very capital intensive. Right now, that capital is lent in foreign currency.
The currency matrix is among a raft of proposed policy amendments that will also see geothermal subsector further liberalized to attract more private equity in geothermal development.
Oil companies could provide the bottom hole temperature data of existing oil and gas wells that geothermal developers could then use. They could utilize abandoned oil and gas wells for geothermal purposes.
I think by using foreign investment and having foreign companies on board can fast track the process. To be able to do the exploration, set up these geothermal places, so we can obviously just get the steam going.
Kenya needs 1.6 trillion shillings to de-risk and drill geothermal wells in the next 10 years to increase geothermal power production from the current 1,000 megawatts to 5,000 megawatts. Benson Rioba reporting for Prime Edition.
Cases of intermittent power outages in the Nairobi metropolis are set to drop due to the ongoing transmission improvements by the Kenya Electricity and Transmission Company. The project under the Nairobi Ring project will improve the transfer capacity of electrical energy, addressing the challenge of low voltages, high transmission losses, and reliability of supply and network security to prevent power interruption from affecting the whole country.
Kenya's total installed capacity has tripled in the last 20 years from 1,000 megawatts to the current 3,000 megawatts. The percentage of the population with access to electricity has surged from 18% in 2010 to an estimated 70% in 2020. This has necessitated a critical overhaul of the power transformer and transmission technology. The Kenya Electricity and Transmission Company is currently constructing the Nairobi Ring Road power transmission system to address power shortages in the greater Nairobi metropolitan.
The Nairobi Ring project that is undertaken by KETRACO tries to do two things: bring adequate power, that is one; two, and create redundancy. What is happening in the Nairobi Ring is that we started with Isinya, then we came to the river. We did last week commission Kimuka. We are yet to commission Mala to complete the Nairobi Ring.
The Nairobi Network Reinforcement Project includes the 220 kilowatt Suswa substation, which will make it possible to connect all carrier geothermal plants, Lake Turkana Wind Farm, the substations of Isinya and Nairobi North, and the Suswa Isinya transmission grid.
We have 400 in Olkaria. We have 400 in Isinya. We are doing 400 in Mariakani, we are doing 400 kV in Lesos, and we are doing 400 kV in Kibos in Kisumu. All those will be interconnected now at this level where we are.
The Nairobi Ring Associated Substations Infrastructure Project is part of Kenya's Vision 2030 flagship project within the energy sector. Nduta Mokami for Prime Edition.
And that story brings us to a close of the business news this evening. My name is Betty Kiptum. Good night.
Personally, I'm proud. This is going to be my first Olympic. Let's say it's a dream come true. Very emotional, but something must supersede the emotions. That is, we have to perform. So, first time Olympics, but definitely we have to perform. So.
Thank you for keeping it KBC Prime Edition. My name is Karen Kibet. Let's now take a look at what's making headlines in the world of sports. 400-meter Africa silver medalist Kevin Kipkorir will finally be able to join the 4x400 meters mixed relay team, currently training in Miramas, France, later this week in preparation for the Paris Olympic Games as he awaits his appeal to Athletics Integrity Unit and World Athletics. The Paris Olympic Games, which officially begin on the 26th of this month, will be televised live on KBC Channel 1.
Kevin Kipkorir is rejoining the Kenyan 4x400 meter mixed relay team to the Paris Olympics after previously being dropped for failure to meet the Anti-Doping Agency of Kenya and the Athletics Integrity Unit requirements.
There were issues that was being looked into by Anti-Doping Agency of Kenya, by AIU and Athletics Kenya. And of course, as a country, we are always being guided by Rule 15 and the specifications that we have to follow. 7 countries are affected by that, and we cannot operate freely like any other country in the world. So we have to follow certain stringent rules that must be followed. And of course, there was some enhancement by AIU that those countries which are affected must stick to those rules. One of them, which was part of the enhancement by those rules, came about in May this year, on the 3rd, that if an athlete has not been tested once within the 10 months, that is the 3rd of May, will not be allowed to compete during the trials, because otherwise they will not meet the requirement that they have to be tested 3 times out of competition and 1 in-competition test.
Team Kenya officials have already appealed to the Athletics Integrity Unit and World Athletics to allow Kipkorir to compete in Paris.
It was a technical issue or an error that occurred, that in between the test on the 4th of May, not 5th of April, the test was conducted, and then another one followed on the 23rd of May, and now 23rd of April, and thereafter, counting the days, which is a minimum between the tests is 21 days, that period was only 18 days, and that also affected that.
The relay team and sprinters are in residential camp in Miramas in preparation for the Olympic Games, with athletics set to be held between 1st and 11th of next month.
The relay team was selected at the last minute because Kenya did not qualify automatically. They was ranked number 16, and therefore the country had to wait until midnight of the 3rd of July to see whether World Athletics has included Kenya in the relay competition. It came about that we were lucky to have met that team, number 16, and on the 4th, the results was released by World Athletics, and we were there.
Kenya will be competing in women volleyball, men's rugby sevens, judo, fencing, swimming and athletics, with the 33rd edition of the Olympic Games set to begin next week.
Thank you, Barkley, for that detailed report. Moving on. The 4x400 meters mixed relay team is confident that reaching the final in Paris is within touching distance this time round in the 2024 Olympic Games. The team, which qualified for the Games as the 16th best team in the world, is finalizing their preparations in Manyara, southern of France, as they eye a place in the finals at the Paris Olympic Games.
We always do individual training in the morning. Sometimes after training we do the pattern, or maybe we come back in the evening for pattern exchange only, because our weakness now is the handling, like acceleration towards the takeovers. Receiving the pattern we are okay, but now the acceleration part, so that's where those guys get that chance to open a gap. So we are really trying to work on it. At least when we get a pattern, we can push, like, let's say the first 20 or 50 meters, so that those guys cannot leave us to chase them. We want also them to chase us.
Kimazoezi tu, like tunapeana moyo. Leo unaweza kuwa kuna mwenye ajisikii kufanya, lakini tunapeana tu hiyo psyche, tusukume tumalizane naye, tu perform vizuri na turudi nyumbani mzuri.
By the way, tangu tutoke hapa, hii ni wiki ya pili. Kwa upande wangu imenisaidia kupata hiyo nafasi kutoka Kenya kuja kutrain huko Miramas. Ni opportunity kubwa sana. Sana sana kwa watu wa Hariri. Yeah.
Kodero Bara Secondary School will fly Nyanza's flag in this year's Stamp 2 Ball Games Soccer National Championships after they edged out a stubborn Matutu PAG Secondary School from Meru County by 2-1. Achola Simon has more details.
A final pitting two relatively unknown schools in the soccer circles was moved to Kisumu's Moi Stadium after the semi-final was marred by fans' trouble over accusation of some schools fielding ineligible players. The game kicked off on a high as Kodero Bara ran rings around stubborn but well-oiled opponent. A defensive mix-up on the 25th minute mark, however, gave Kodero Bara a major chance to score fast. Samson Kibaki pounced on the loose ball after the mix-up to put Kodero Bara ahead. The goal stunned Matutu, who temporarily lost control of the proceedings as Kodero Bara dictated the pace of play. It came as no surprise when the red-hot Felix Casillas doubled the lead just before the halftime mark, following a well-worked-out team play. On resumption, Matutu fought tooth and nail to stay in the game, and their effort paid off in the 57th minute as Tony Olo pulled one back for Matutu to set up a nervy ending for a visibly tired Kodero Bara. Kodero Bara would, however, hang on to sail through to their maiden national championships. The national championships will be held in Nyanza in a yet-to-be-determined venue from 27th of this month. Organizers have also allayed fears of insecurity after fans' trouble marred the regional championships, forcing organizers to move their finals from Kisii County to Kisumu.
We are putting everything in place, and we are ensuring that before each and every match starts, the security is available. And we are trying to tell members, and whatever we will try to do is to sensitize members about the championships that belong to students. Let the supporters leave us free. Let them come and watch these matches, but let them not interfere with the organization of the matches that we have.
Achola Simon, Channel 1 Sport, Kisumu County.
And Achola Simon's report marks the end of the sports news tonight. My name is Karen Kibet. I'll see you tomorrow with more sports news. But for now, I hand you back to my colleagues Regina, Manyara, and John Jacob Kioria. Regina?
Thank you very much, Karen, for that particular report on what is happening in the sporting arena. And information reaching us is that the team that is going to be representing the country in the Paris Olympic Games has already been shared, and among them is the GOAT of all time, that is Eliud Kipchoge, who is going to be representing or taking place in the marathon. Eliud Kipchoge, Benson Kipruto, Alex Mutiso, and Timothy Kiplagat. Well, details will be coming up in our subsequent bulletins, especially tomorrow, and the sports desk takes that up. To you, Kioria.
All right, time for us now to put a cap on Prime Edition. But before we do that, I promised you we had a conversation earlier with the Principal Secretary, the State Department for Culture, the Arts and Heritage, PS Umi Bashir. Enjoy watching the interview. My name is John Jacob Kioria. Good night. PS Umi Bashir is the Principal Secretary in charge of the Department for Culture, the Arts and Heritage, and joins us tonight to discuss part of the work that she's been doing since she was appointed as the Principal Secretary. Thank you, PS, for joining us tonight.
Thank you, too.
To begin us off, let's talk about the mandate of your department and, most importantly, its contribution to the mainstream economy. What are the strategies that you're using to ensure that these three components are factored into the mainstream economy?
Mostly, culture, the arts and heritage is put at the back burner when it comes to economic development and growth of the economy. And I'd beg to differ because we do so much for generation of income for artists and creatives in this country. When you see talents like the Kamba carvings, the Kisi soapstone, the Ushanga, for instance, these are products that tourists come into the country and love to purchase. We are not so found as Kenyans to purchase such products, but when it comes to the international market, there's a big ask internationally. When you look at our museums, we have the commercialization aspect of the museums. And here we talk about the heritage of our country, where we have the fridge magnets, the merchandise, and the Turkana boy, for instance. There are a lot of, even locally, but mostly it's the internationals who appreciate. And that is one thing that I would love to change about our culture as a country, where we should appreciate our own products. And mostly this money goes back to the people at the bottom of the pyramid who work so hard to use their talents, their skills, to showcase their products and also sell. Mama Mboga is one aspect of the economy. But when you look at a pastoralist lady from the Maasai community, Samburus, Marsabit, Turkana, they sell their beads so as to put food on the table, to educate their children. And at the end of the day, you'll see that this does so well for us as a country. And when we look at infrastructural part of our development as a country, there's so much that goes on. But when we look at the soft part of it, the cultural diplomacy, tourists coming in and going straight to the Maasai market to buy these products. And for instance, the Mara, when you go to the Mara, we have women running around with the beads and selling them on the roadside. When it rains and when there's sun, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, they have to sell. So as a State Department, we are coming up with a mall that puts these women in a certain position that has dignity, that has a place where they can rest and sell their products so as to generate income for themselves and also the county governments. And this in turn ripples up to the national government, and this creates so much employment for the youth, if you ask me. So for us, the Kamba carvings, the Kisi soapstone, the Lamu kofias, for instance, these are things that we are patenting. We are patenting the beadwork, the artistic beadwork for the different communities, the different tribes that are there in the different 10 counties of the Ushanga. So I would say it's a win for us as a State Department.
We'll be talking about the international market and what opportunities exist there. But I asked the question about the economy because, you know, you've seen what has been going around and the complaints much more by the youth regarding economic opportunities being availed to them. What are your interventions as the State Department for Culture, the Arts and Heritage to address that problem of unemployment and, you know, lack of economic opportunities for the youth?
Yeah, so For us, as a State Department, we have what we call the culture champions. Culture champions are champions that we hire in every county. And culture champions go around under the project called the National Product Industry, which is under the National Museums of Kenya. So what we do is create an opportunity, an empowerment, economic empowerment opportunity for the youth, where they get an income just by documenting, digitizing our natural products, the miti shambas, for instance. So we go from county to county, and in each county we hire 30 cultural champions, and we give them a very good amount of income so that they can be motivated and work with the elders within the villages and the communities and digitize and document all our products as a country. That is one. Another thing that we do for the youth and is now the ushanga that I just spoke about. The ushanga is the beadwork, the beautiful beadwork that we do, but these are done by women. So we empower the women in such instances where there's also the youth within the women themselves, and brings a certain aspect of good livelihood for them, where they can nurture their talent, at the same time showcase all their products, sell them, and make a living for themselves. Another thing that we do is at the museums of Kenya, we have guides, we have tour guides that take our tourists, take them around the museums, and they showcase the products. They make a living out of it. They don't necessarily have to be in the system to do that. So we call them heritage champions. So what we're trying to do is encourage the youth to come out and get an income by supporting and appreciating the patriotic part of being a Kenyan. Another thing that we do as culture for the youth is that when it comes to kamba carvings and kisi soapstone, these are mostly done by the young. A long time ago, it used to be the elderly who pay fees for their children and whatnot. But right now, when you go around the country, you'll find that the kamba carvings are mostly done by the young. And this shows them that their talents are appreciated as a country. Cultural dancers, for instance, we have the Tobong Lore in Turkana, we have the Marsabit Cultural Festival, the Maasai Cultural Festival. The poets, the narrators of the stories now has cascaded down to the generations that we have right now, the young generation. And the elderly seem to be handing the torch to the younger generation, whereby when they go, there'll be that aspect of continuity, whereby as a younger generation, you make an income out of it. And this, we encourage it as a State Department of Culture, because when we go to different counties in this country, we encourage the youth, the artists, to come on board, to sing on the stage, and they are paid. And this goes directly to the pocket of that particular youth. And as government, I think we have really tried, especially onboarding the artists. The artists are very close and dear to our heart in this State Department, because art is not just about performing art, it's not about film, it's not about acting, it's not about drama. What we are also trying to do is bring aboard our artists, the singers. There's so many very talented youths in this country, and they're always here in my office. And we see how we can work together to ensure that they are supported. Another thing I'd like to talk about is the cultural festivals. The cultural festivals are a source of income for the counties. You see, when you look at the tourists coming to counties like Turkana, they need a place to sleep, they need to eat, they need to walk around, drive, and that in turn generates resources for the county level.
One of the biggest challenges government face is elimination of middlemen, as you say, and particularly when you talk about art, because that's where majority youths really are. What are your interventions as a State Department to support these artists, and particularly to eliminate the middlemen that rob them of their sweat?
For instance, when it comes to artists, singers, for instance, we have Kekobo that regulates all these bodies, the CMOs that we have. We have 3 CMOs. So the CMOs, mostly, there's some discourse, because the youth, the artists, the singers feel like they take a chunk of their money. But most of these artists at the same time have not registered themselves, saying that I need to be part of and parcel of the payments that come up of the Mastatu songs that are played, the songs played in the salon, songs played in functions even. And for us, it is more of the important person for us is the artist himself. So the middlemen, because of the digital age and the changing times, they're being eradicated automatically, even with us having to put effort. The only thing we do now is sensitization and capacity building, where we go around the counties and ensure that these artists, the carving, the creatives for the carving, what do you call it, the Kamba carvings and the Kisi soaps, understand that this money belongs to you because you're the one who used your own hard, sweat and your time and resources to produce this product. Sometimes they sell at a lower price because they have no option. You've done 10 beads, you've done 20 bells, you need to sell so that you get an income. You've wasted time, resources. So what you do, you opt for a middleman who says, I'll take this to Nairobi, I'm using transport, and then I'm giving you back a mediocre amount of money. So as a State Department, we said no. Come up with applications, because everyone is on media, is on internet these days. People have the website, people have the USSD codes. So what we're doing is first moving away from brokers and middlemen and going and delving straight into getting that artist. We have registered, we have a data that specifically tells us we have this number of Ushanga cooperatives in these counties, we have these Kamba carvings cooperatives in these counties. For instance, the Machakos, we have Bombolulu carvings, we have the Lamu Kofias, we have the data. So what we do is ensure that they deal directly with the office, We have a whole sector for cultural artifacts, cultural curators that deal with this.
The aspect of culture, and I think you've seen over generations, the perception that culture is an outdated thing. Yet there is what we call culture and the preservation of it. Question is, what is the nexus between modernization and culture? How do you preserve culture even as the world advances?
You see, if culture was not cool, I would not be the principal secretary for culture and arts and heritage, because it's usually related to a cake, boring, things. And frankly, culture is cool, and culture evolves. Culture is not, it's not static and it's not stagnated. Culture evolves with time. And we see in Nairobi, we have the matatu culture, for instance. Matatu culture is not outdated. It is the kind of culture that we have as a county and as a town, as a city. And what we're trying to do is make culture cool again. How do we make culture cool again? By involving the youth. The youth are the cool generation. And we use social media. We invite them to come and see what we have in the museums. Fort Jesus, for instance. Old times it used to be you only go, I'm sure, have you taken your kids to the museum first of all? Have you ever gone with your kids to the museum? Oh, you have? Yeah. When was the last time?
Well, it must have been sometime last year.
Yeah?
Mid last year.
Okay. Well, I haven't, so I think I should pull off my socks. But it's mostly make culture cool again by bringing in the youth, by bringing in the influencers. So we work with the influencers too, because you need to showcase what is cool about culture on social media, on Twitter, on Snapchat, on TikTok. And the best part of it is that we learn from each other. We see what is cool on your TikTok, and I borrow it, and I'm like, oh, you've visited NMK. Okay, let me take my kids. And it's a ripple effect. We've seen what has been going on in the country for the past few weeks. If you love your country that much, why would you condone such a thing? You would encourage for it to stop so that we can move forward and see how then do we support this youth. Have we heard them? Have we removed what we wanted them to remove? Have we listened to them? Because it is not all about talking and talking. It's about giving them a chance to also hear what they need from us. The same thing is happening in our houses. Our children are demanding, okay, I've told you 1, 2, 3, you have not listened. And we are learning. It's a different generation whereby we have to sit back and respect that and listen to them and see the changes that we can make.
Now that you mentioned, do you think government is listening?
Oh yes, government is listening. His Excellency the President is really listening, because if he wasn't, he would not have removed the CAS positions. He did that. He would not have the finance bill. He would not have removed it. He would not have removed the harambes, which are showing a show of opulence and unnecessary show-offs. The arrogance part of it has been eradicated from government. Fertilizers, for instance, you'll see that we have done so much for the past, it's even 2 years. We actually came into office September. September is not even here yet, but we've done so much. Bringing the dollar down, trying to bring the loan to a sensible amount. And I think the president is really listening, and the fact that the cabinet secretaries have gone home, I think is a big step and a big sign showing that I have listened to Kenyans, not just Generation Z, Kenyans as a whole. So I am 100% supporting the fact that the president is listening to Kenyans. And the fact that PSs now have been given a task and a half to show what we are doing as government. It is an uphill task, but I think we're more than ready as PSs, and myself as the State Department of Culture and Arts and Heritage, I am sure that we are doing a great job. So, and this trickles down, it shows the artists, it goes back to the musicians, it goes back to our museums. And everything has been reduced, everything. And I think we're headed in the right direction as a country, to have dialogue, to listen to each other and see what is it that you want us to change. But you see, there are insiders in this whole story who the president named the other day, and they should be ashamed of themselves, because this is a diplomatic country. It is a country that respects opinions and respects human rights, and this has shown from the head of government, that is the executive, that is the president. And all the arms of government are respecting this, from judiciary to the legislature and ourselves in executive.
All right. As we talk about indicators, and this will be our parting shot, what should Kenyans, because we are in the period of accountability, what should Kenyans hold you accountable for?
Kenyans should hold me accountable for the work that I've done in setting up policies, regulations, and acts in place. The State Department of Culture did not have a culture bill when we came in. As we speak, our culture bill is in Bunge, it's in Parliament, and very soon we'll have a legislation that anchors our culture and the creatives in a certain way of appreciation and a backing of an act. 2, we're setting up what we call the language policy. We've actually passed the language policy, and we're setting up the Kiswahili Council. This is an appreciation for our languages. We have different languages, so many languages in our country. And you will find that a regulation that is coming up in the State Department is one we call the traditional knowledge and protection of our cultural heritage. This is an act in place, but then regulations are coming from the State Department. My parting shot would be, come, let's make culture cool again. Let's love our country. We don't have another one. Make culture cool again.
PS Umi Bashir, the Principal Secretary for Culture, the Arts and Heritage, joining us tonight to discuss some of the things that have been ongoing for the last 2 years, and most importantly, the encompassing of the youth in this very critical department. By the way, she handles the arts. And that's why we put a cap on Prime Edition. Thank you very much for joining us. Have yourself a fantastic night. Good night.
Mnapiga watu picha, mnaenda kuwapeleka huko kwa mitandao bila. Hapana, hatunanga upaya sisi. Mimi unipigi picha bwana. You go and track that guy to, you don't bring me here to the court. Wewe ndo atatuonyesha